Hi everyone, my name's Itzell. Thanks for clicking on this video. Today I wanted to share my progress really of how I overcame my severe driving anxiety through a pandemic. And I think if any good has come out of this year, it's definitely this. Personally for me, I posted on my private and my public Instagram if this was a story that some of you guys may be interested, and I definitely got a lot of yeses, and that really made me happy. I didn't expect to get so much encouragement. If at any point in the story you hear something and you may think, oh, like, why couldn't she just have kept at it, or like, you know, just frequently just drove. Anxiety really took over emotionally, mentally, and even sometimes logically. I hope I don't trip up as I'm telling this story. I did write up all of my thoughts and kind of an outline on how I wanted to go about this, because even though I just overcame it within the past few months, it's been a journey for me personally since I was 15, 16, and I'm 21 now. So please be kind. Yeah, if you have any similar stories regarding severe driving anxiety, like, I would love to know. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy this video. I wanted to first start, you know, how I formed it. I was so excited as a 15-year-old. I'm the oldest, so I found it to be kind of like a path to freedom, a path to start being a little bit more independent. And I was really ambitious. I took driver's ed, I completed it, and I got my permit. And I started driving with my parents after school. They picked me up and I would get into the driver's seat and I would be driving around in their huge SUV. First thing that I noticed, I was really uncomfortable in that seat. It was a big bulky car. I didn't feel good in it. I slowly started to stop volunteering to drive. My high school was only no more than 5 minutes away from my house, and yet I was just like, no, I don't want to drive. It was like my gut kind of already telling me like something's up. From then on was just a period of being comfortable in getting around alternatively. I loved getting around in public transportation. I had everything within reach, within walking distance, within bus use, or even train. When I went to college, it was super easy. I was so proud of myself in a sense because I was able to learn really quickly how to take care of myself and fend for myself. I could be able to go from the bottom of SoCal all the way to North Cal without hesitation, without a use of a car. But now that I'm transitioning out of, you know, my 4th year at college, I'm gonna graduate soon, I knew that there would be a point in time where I had to start driving again. I come home in March. In 7 steps, I actually was able to kind of transform what I can physically do, mentally, emotionally, all that stuff within a few months. To preface all of this was in a new car. This was in a Nissan Sentra, so a much smaller car. And from the get-go, I was in a different place with this car. Mentally, how I viewed it, how I approached it, how I used it. So I was nowhere as hostile with it as I was with the SUV. So the first step, the biggest step, I'm pretty sure, was just starting to come to the idea of me behind the driver's seat, me doing this for myself. From the very beginning, my motto was, and still is to this day, if I'm not comfortable, I'm not gonna do it. So the next thing that I did was take small trips. super small trips. And over the summer, I worked with my dad. He would drive in the morning, you know, for us to get to work. In the afternoon, I would be the one taking us home. This allowed me throughout the entire day to get comfortable again with the idea, you know, that I was mentally and physically preparing myself to drive. And that was a lot of time. That was a lot of hours thinking about me just sitting behind a wheel for 15 minutes. But I did it. So the third step for me was vocalizing my anxiety. I vocalized when I was nervous, when I was stressed, when I was anxious. My dad just kind of sat through it all. I would scream. I would be driving and I would like yell without jolting the wheel, of course. I needed to get all that energy that has built up suddenly. I couldn't keep it in. I never pretended to be a cool one hand on the wheel kind of type of driver. I was so scared. I was so terrified. When I drove, I had to feel comfortable before even reversing. I had to make sure that I was super comfortable with my seat placement, mirrors. I had to feel comfortable, but anxiety still came as I drove. I don't know who told me this, but anxiety is the fear of the unknown. The next step is me watching countless amount of driver ed videos. I remember obviously a lot of the handbook, the DMV's handbook material. However, I needed visuals. It's been some time since I was driving before I started working with my dad. I needed to refamiliarize myself with the tiniest details. I watched from the simplest videos of how to make a like unprotected right turn, to yielding, to roundabouts, to how to drive in the day versus at night, how to pull out of parking lots, and like all that progressed into like how to merge on the freeway, how to do speed control, all that. Like I watched all of it, and every single video that I watched, I realized that I was reigniting a confidence in me that I was just like, you know what, this isn't so bad. That's one thing that I think was so unique about this entire process, is the fact that, you know, during this pandemic, like I can't go get a driver's ed instructor. I found this was like the best option, and it really is. It was at the at my fingertips, and I could just watch endless videos. I read the comments, and so many people were sharing their tips and tricks or how they'd helped them, and I quickly integrated all that information that I learned into my everyday driving. I was so proud of the little things. It was suddenly making me more and more calm. It gave me control again. It gave me reassurance that out of all the things in the world, that I can't do this. So at this point, this was around summer. I never drove alone. I had fear of being alone, of my own company. I think at one point I relied so much on the fact that I say that I'm such a people person, I'm such an extrovert, and I was just like, oh, like I know I'm just gonna hate it. Like before, I used to say like, oh my gosh, like driving already is bad, but like driving alone, that's even worse, because it kind of combines two things in the world that I hated the most then. My anxiety was still very much alive, but I started to counteract it with the logic. And with that, I took the next step, which was actually to drive alone. So the earliest memory, I think, was going to go get a coffee. So I saw it as an incentive, you know, you drive here and you get a coffee. It was a lot calmer than I thought. I think I was more hypersensitive then driving with someone compared to when I drove alone. Like I already was kind of in gear to just make note of all those things, of my surroundings. It was nice to know also that I didn't have to juggle with someone else's schedule, going out and about, and that I could do things that I liked. All the trips, I guess I put an unspoken incentive, you know? Drive and you get to get this boba drink. Drive and you get to do this. So I guess I didn't think about it, but that's what happened. I felt so much more relieved. But I knew that at one point in time, I'm gonna have to take the freeway. I did take the freeway actually with my dad one time, or a couple times actually. I was shaking so much. Or my leg was just like shaking on the accelerator. And I think it still is the fear of the unknown, because part of driving is the fear of getting into accidents. And the next, and I think most surprising, was watch just endless compilations of car crashes. It really targeted that fear, because I saw that even though you can be the most defensive, most perfect driver on the road, whether it be low or high congested traffic, you can always get into an accident, and that's okay. It gave me a consequence. It gave me a visual consequence as to why you do all those things. In this instant, I took from, hey, learn from others instead of, me being into an accident. If you haven't seen any of those Crash compilations, don't be scared of them. It was like the hidden gem, I think, in this whole process for me, which is really weird. Now for the last step, to say that I actually overcame this really immobilizing driving anxiety was finally going on a kind of long drive on the freeway. And this was from my hometown to my college city. It's only an hour away, but it was still much longer than anything that I've been on. I did it with my dad for my parents' peace of mind, and it was really fun. It was really exciting. Where I go to school, it's much more congested. I realized that I was in so much of a better mindset when I didn't even think about it. I didn't have to go through so much mental hoops to even get myself to be like, should I ask if I could drive? Do I feel safe to do it? Like, I just did it, and I feel more safe with myself. I can trust myself more. Maybe not the act of driving, but this entire journey to get to being comfortable to drive is one of the most difficult things that I've done. If you ever feel pressured to get your license to drive, don't do it. If you're not comfortable, don't do it. It's at your pace, it's at your time, and when you're ready, you're gonna do it. It's really nice to hear that, other people believe in me, and it takes some time, but you start to slowly do too. And when you do, it takes off. And yeah. So that's my story. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. Hopefully I can edit it well. I will include a bunch of the resources and channels. Thanks for hearing out my story, and happy holidays. So happy new year. I hope you're safe. Thanks. Bye.